The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the OnlyFans murder trial. This involves a good-looking young couple who seemed to have everything. But behind closed doors, they were more like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, with one big difference. One is dead, and the other is charged with murder. Here's the story. 26-year-old Courtney Clenney is a social media star. She has over 2 million followers and has built a very successful career. While she's very visible on Instagram, she also has an OnlyFans page. This is a place where her fans can pay her through the app for access to videos and images you will never see on Instagram. She was so successful, she was living in a plush apartment in Miami, where monthly rents were between $10,000 and $12,000 a month. She was living with her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, until April 3rd of 2022, when Courtney used a knife to kill him. She is claiming self-defense, but prosecutors say she was the aggressor the day she killed Christian, just like she was the aggressor in this elevator 2 months before the killing. What was going on in this volatile relationship? Who was the victim and who was the abuser? And exactly how did that knife end up killing Christian? We'll take a closer look as we investigate the Courtney Clenney OnlyFans murder. There is no doubt the more you learn about Courtney and Christian, the more you realize this was a very toxic situation. And they were living a life that you wouldn't wish on your children, that to be so young and to be involved in a situation like that. Now, prosecutors have charged Courtney Clenney with murder. She's claiming self-defense. Some of the information, some videos, text messages, surveillance videos, body cams, cell phone videos have become public. And we've seen them, and we've been watching them since we've covered this story. And to be honest, when I look at these videos and read these text messages, it seems almost exclusively in all of these that Courtney is the aggressor, much like prosecutors are alleging, that she's the abuser in the relationship. So I want to show you some of those videos right now so you have an understanding for what I'm talking about.
Like, I was sober for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And now why am I not sober? Because of you. Like, but you're hindering my progress.
You need to sit down. You need to sit down.
Let go of me.
The crazy thing about all of this is that yesterday, when you stabbed me in the leg and you saw how bad it was hurting me and I couldn't walk, I couldn't do and you were telling me I wished I could have taken your pain away. Did I make you feel like for stabbing me? No, I just sucked it up and hope tomorrow will be better.
Both my dogs better be in that
Right there.
You are so lucky both my dogs.
Stop hitting me.
No, because you let my dogs.
I'm looking at for you.
My dogs.
My bad.
Me, my dogs are more
Okay, my
important.
bad. I'm just making.
No, not your bad. Give me something. Give me something better than my back.
I'm sorry.
I asked you so many times that I don't know, and I apologize, but you hit me.
Shut the up. Don't. You know well, the right thing to do is to tell me.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me slap you. Give me my phone.
You have your phone.
I don't have it anymore. Find it and charge it. Find it and charge it.
I'm sorry.
I don't care. Find it and charge
Okay,
it.
just stop.
Don't.
On the couch, I see through the glass thing, and I'm out on my face. Then I went back to bed. I was like, why'd you do that?
Did anybody throw anything?
No,
So why would you think that there is damage to the room to be made?
because I've done that before in our house. And
What have you done?
throwing a glass at him.
When I go to the room and I see a broken glass on the floor, where did the glass come from?
I don't know. I literally couldn't even remember how the fight started.
Okay, well...
Was there?
Yeah.
Maybe I did.
So from the beginning, the defense has been very clear that this is self-defense and that Courtney was a victim to Christian's violence in this relationship. And that brings me to our first question in this investigation, which is, where is the evidence of Christian abusing Courtney? Where is this evidence? Where will it come from? Does it exist right now? To help me get to the bottom of all this, joining us, Courtney Clenney's defense team joining us tonight. Attorneys Frank Prieto and Sabrina Puglisi are with us. Frank, Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Want to get both sides of every story we cover. So Frank, I'll begin with you. So where is that evidence? What is the evidence of Christian being the one who's abusing Courtney?
Sure. Vinnie, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. Happy holidays to you and your viewers around this holiday season. Listen, and I'm glad you played the introduction of the elevator video because that's deceptive. We have video footage, which the media doesn't like to play. When she gets onto that elevator, going down from her apartment, her foot is bleeding. She leaves a blood prints in the elevator because she's going to go downstairs to complain about what just happened in the apartment. And you see that on other video footage where Christian comes in and wipes the elevator before she gets back in when he's in the lobby trying to prevent him from going up to the floor. Nobody sees that, right? There's a lot of things here that the public doesn't see because, quite honestly, we're not pushing that narrative out there, unlike the prosecution did when they first made the arrest.
Sabrina, is this a case where there are more videos beyond what we have seen now? Like, I understand what Frank's explaining about additional parts of this video, and we have to dig up that ourselves. But are there other videos, or is it the testimony and what Courtney can tell a jury about what was happening?
Yes, Vinnie, there actually are other videos. One good example of that is Arthur Cupp. If you look at the body cam footage from officers on the day that Christian died, you'll see that a neighbor from across the street, doesn't know Courtney, doesn't know Christian, comes voluntarily to the police to tell him of an incident he saw the week before about how he watched Christian hitting Courtney in the head area. That's just one example. If you look at the Las Vegas video that you actually do play here, a clip of, you'll see at the very beginning of it, the officer testifies that, security testifies she's the one who called police or security. She says that she was afraid. They go up, they find clumps of her hair on the floor in the hotel room. And the reason she gets arrested is because she's trying to protect him. She actually says in a clip, you know, I didn't tell you everything because I was trying to protect him. So I think even in the videos you show, there's clips that show self-defense.
I want to do this. I want to play what I found was probably the most interesting on this issue, because it's just before all of this happens, where she's in the lobby talking about a restraining order. Let's watch.
All right, so what do you want to say?
I want to be like, I want to be like exonerated, I guess, of like anything wrong. And I want him, okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
So Frank, that's, to me, this has always been the most powerful piece of evidence that at least we have our hands on, that we've noticed in the build-up to this trial, which will happen at some point, I guess. What's the story behind her wanting a restraining order?
Well, Vinnie, you know what? This is look, the events of April 3rd, 2022 shouldn't have happened. Courtney wishes that day never came. Christian's passing is a tragedy. There's no doubt about that. But I'll tell you that this is a testament to domestic violence victims around the country, around the world, that you need to get help sooner. And, unfortunately, I think law enforcement missed their opportunity. Tragedy. You're aware that we've listed the world's most renowned specialist on battered wife syndrome, and she's our expert witness. Courtney, mentally, I think more mentally than physically, but this was a toxic relationship. Look, the state said it, but this never happened, and people need to speak out and understand they can get away from the shifts before something like this would happen. But Courtney took actions that she had to that night to save her life.
Sabrina, how would you describe the nature of the relationship, the power in the relationship? Because Courtney is the one who's controlling the pocketbook, right? She's the one that's earning the money so they can live in this beautiful building down in one of the most exclusive parts of Miami. So how does that play into the nature of their relationship?
It's that classic domestic violence, right? The manipulation that the other person is able to do. You're so tied to that person, so much so that you start blaming yourself for things that that person does against you. Oh, you hit me, but you hit me because it was my fault, because I did something wrong or I said something wrong. It was a classic abuse situation. And, unfortunately, this was so toxic. And you look and it looks like they had a beautiful life, right? Beautiful couple, beautiful place in Miami. But a picture is just that. It really hides what is underneath. And underneath, this was just a very sad and dangerous situation.
All right, Frank Prieto, Sabrina Puglisi are going to stay with us. When we come back, should Courtney Clenney receive bond?
The facts that I think the court's now more made aware of, the witness who saw the beating. Obviously, the state has compelling evidence as well, but I think this is a case where the court can craft a bond.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
She was like a ballerina, and the husband was some kind of wealthy individual, but they had a child in common. They also, you could say, they had a tumultuous relationship. There was some custody issues. There was injunction hearings related prior to the shooting. But she unloaded 6 bullets into this man, was given a bond on house arrest. Her former police officer, Marcia Thompson, she shot, I think, 5 or 6 rounds into her husband of a long-term relationship. She did allege in this particular case a battered spouse syndrome defense, which is what Dr. Walker has evaluated Ms. Clenney and has found that she was suffering from battered spouse syndrome. In this particular case, the court granted her, after Arthur hearing, a $250,000 bond. These are just a couple of, and these are recent examples of courts in other jurisdictions granting a bond in what I would argue to the court is more of a, it's a lot different than throwing a knife, taking a loaded gun and unloading a clip or however many rounds they were.
As Courtney Clenney waits for a trial date, she's locked up, and obviously her attorney's trying to get her out on bond, making the argument and the comparison to a couple of the cases that you saw here on Court TV, where accused killers were out on bond down in Florida. They used guns. Courtney Clenney used a knife. Now, part of Courtney Clenney's story is that she threw the knife at Christian Obumseli. Didn't go up and stab him, but threw the knife. She's made that statement. So during one of these bond hearings, I want to show you some of the evidence that the defense brought forward concerning the possibility of someone being able to throw a knife and do the damage that was done to Christian Obumseli.
Now, we're going to see there's no sound here. Do you know if there was sound recorded or not?
We did not do a sound recording.
Can you describe to the court, I mean, obviously we could see what's going on, but from your observation as an expert medical examiner, what, if anything, does this demonstration show you?
Well, he threw 6 knives, and he essentially had 3 of them stick, and the 4th one came in and hit the 3rd one, knocking the 3rd one out, but probably that would have been a kill. And there was a clean miss, number 5. Number 6, the impact was just barely grazed the side of the carcass.
Okay, so if this is a case where, there's some domestic violence, maybe it's self-defense, maybe it isn't, maybe she threw the knife, maybe she didn't stab him, it brings us to our next question, which is about her status right now. And the question is, should Courtney Clenney receive bond? Still with us, Courtney Clenney's defense team, Frank Prieto, Sabrina Puglisi. So, Frank, that was an unusual moment, I will admit. I've never seen that in a courtroom, but the point being that this is something less than other cases where an accused killer has gotten out?
Well, Vinnie, I know you're a former prosecutor. Look, of giving her a bond, look, we disagree with the judge's ruling. We respect Judge Cruz. She has a very difficult job in very difficult cases. But the fact of the matter is, at best, okay, we disagree, but at best, this is a manslaughter case. Under Florida statutes, manslaughter is a bondable offense, and Courtney should have a bond. She's not a danger to the community. She's not a risk of flight, which, as you know, those are the components that the judge has to evaluate in order to grant a bond. In this particular situation, Courtney is not a danger to the public. She's just not, and she's not a flight risk. She's pretty much broke at this point, and she's appeared in court. Her parents are in court all the time. This is not a situation where the court should be concerned about that. But again, it's a difficult job that Judge Cruz has managing this type of case, and we respect her ruling, albeit that we disagree.
Sabrina, the other part of this is there's not even a trial date yet on this, is there?
Unfortunately, no, there is not. We keep having status conferences. We have various motions that we're dealing with, motion to disqualify the state attorney's office. And so it keeps just being prolonged. And especially with the false charges the state attorney's office filed against her parents and her for that laptop, it really delayed Courtney's case, I will say, probably about 1 year.
So, Frank, how would you describe how she is doing behind bars? How is she getting by? And how does all of this impact the preparation of your case?
Well, look, she's, Sabrina sees her more often than I do. We do video visits, but I'd like to touch on something Sabrina said. Look, she's been in there now a year longer than she probably should have. Based upon the prosecutor's misconduct in this case, as the judge ruled that they invaded the attorney-client privilege. They read texts and emails, right? Emails that laid out our defense strategy, okay? And the prosecutor read this and said, I'm just going to read it, even though the document said privileged and confidential. And so clearly, Vinnie, you know this. Look, once the prosecutor has invaded the defense camp, they have no business being on this case. And that's what the delay is. But Courtney's dealing with it. She's obviously, it's not pleasant for any defendant to be in custody for this long, but she understands that we're, working vigorously to defend her, and we're confident that she's going to be free once we get this trial.
And Sabrina, something that we noticed by watching the videos and even some of the conversations between Christian and Courtney is that they were doing drugs, right? They're young, they've got money, they're doing drugs. How is her sobriety? How is her state of mind these days?
She's doing so much better. Thank you for asking about that. Sometimes you just need that clarity, that time away. And she tried to get the help by putting herself into an inpatient right before she was arrested. She was, the police went there to get her out of her treatment facility. But since then, obviously, she's been clean, she's healthy, she's been exercising and trying to stay as positive as she can, praying and doing everything she can to stay healthy and positive and just waiting for her day in court.
And Frank, how do you handle that when you've got someone who really hasn't been a part of the criminal justice system? There's different types of criminal defendants. I was a prosecutor. Some of them have rap sheets like this. Others, it's the first time. First time is a big one, right? It's murder. How do you prepare her for the trial, number one, and number two, a trial with an outcome that you never know exactly what it's going to be? Unfortunately, we only have about 15 seconds here, Frank. I'm sorry.
No, you got to look, with a jury, you never know. But we're preparing as best as we can. It's difficult. We'd love to have her out so we can prepare more. Getting into jails, as you know, or your viewers know, it's never easy. There's lockdowns, delays. You can't bring this, you can't bring that. So we're doing the best we can, and she knows.
All right, we're out of time. I took up your time, sorry. Frank Prieto, Sabrina Puglisi, thank you both so much. Coming up next, we'll take a look at what went wrong.
The Court TV podcast will return.
I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the OnlyFans murder trial, which is such a tragedy. A young couple who were making their way through the world and had the opportunity for really bright futures until all the money, the sex, and the drugs led to a fatal stabbing. Here's their story. Courtney Clenney and her boyfriend Christian Obumseli were living a fast life. Money, fame, sex, and drugs. Courtney was making tons of money taking off her clothes and performing sexual activity on a subscription website called OnlyFans. Sometimes Christian would get in the act as well. They were living in the trendiest, most expensive section of Miami, but things were not going so well behind the scenes. Jealousy, arguments, and domestic violence fueled a toxic relationship that ended when Courtney put a knife into Christian's chest. She's claiming self-defense, but prosecutors say it is murder. Now, they weren't always living that life in Miami. Back in 2016, Courtney Clenney appeared in a fitness video posted to YouTube by Muscle Insider. Take a look.
What's up, you guys? My name is Courtney Taylor, and I'm about 8 days out from my first show, the NPC West Coast Classic. And today we're going to hit some back and vice, so let's get started.
I have the beautiful Courtney Taylor getting ready for her first show, the NPC West Coast, in just a few days. We have about a week and a half left, so we're going to show you guys what we're doing.
Oh, so you found your new home?
Yes, I'm so excited. I've never been so excited about anything like in my life.
Okay, all that seems very normal, very sort of vanilla when it comes to social media and things you would see on Instagram and, being a fitness model, right? I want you, though, to take a look at the picture of her then and a more recent picture. As you can see, sort of the transformation in those 6 years. 2016, healthy, working out, fitness, happy, smiling. 2022, I know that was the worst day ever, but you just look at the face and the hair and the everything is different. To me, so symbolic of the life of Courtney Clenney, which brings us to our next question in our investigation. What went wrong? How do you go from that to that? How do you go from a fitness model, it's all about health and good being and well-being, to where she ended up. Joining me to help us through all this, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey, and also with us, host of the very, very popular podcast, Surviving the Survivor. Joel Waldman is with us. Great to see you both. I wanted to put just a little more of the flavor of what was going on in their lives, because to me, this video I'm going to show you is very telling for a couple perspectives. First, it's in Aspen, right? Who doesn't want to go to Aspen? But it's also what's happening in the video and what they're talking about. Here's Courtney and Christian in Aspen.
I was sober for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And now why am I not sober? Because I'm you. But you're hindering my progress.
You need to sit down.
Let go of me. Let go of me.
Come on.
Let go of me.
Okay.
Come on, boy. Let go of me. Like, I can't even, like, I'll start to hit you later. Like, get the off me.
You don't want to hit me?
Christian, he saw me, and I know he's looking. I'm like, fed up with you. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with that you treat me.
Courtney,
Yes, I'm not mad at you.
You let Malala say some line that affected you.
I didn't let her say anything.
I didn't say
you did it.
Hey, let's go to Malala right now. Let's pull up her.
No. I'm just gonna hear the scene.
No, she's in the group chat. Let's put her on the phone right now.
I dare you.
Yeah, you dare me? Keep saying
you
it.
do it.
Then stop saying it then.
Do it.
Then stop saying it then. Then stop saying it then.
I'll actually
Come on.
Let me get my
Ask her. Ask her, did I touch her breast yesterday?
See how instigative he is?
No, you're telling me I touched her breast yesterday when I.
You did. I didn't say touch it.
You said I did.
You were leaning. Yo, you were dumb as. I actually don't agree with you. Actually, I'm done.
Okay.
Can you send him home?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm done.
Okay, fine.
Done. Because you're costing me money. I didn't do. He's like, got to this house because of you.
You let Malone say some line ass.
No, because of you. Flirting with like 3 girls the whole time.
What 3 girls? What 3 girls? You?
Well, maybe it didn't matter.
You. Malone? I was flirting with Malone?
And she's saying, hey, come get your mans. He's trying to come home with me.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
You're lying. She said, come get your mans that I was trying to hit on Malone. Come on, baby.
Okay.
That doesn't even sound right.
Christian, you're fired.
So they're in Aspen, a young couple. Like, that's amazing. But then she's talking about battling sobriety now for 2 weeks. She fires him from her OnlyFans page. All of this is taking place in front of someone. Joel, how would you describe the life that Courtney Clenney was living? You know, going back 2016, going flash forward through those 6 years. What is going on in her life?
I mean, she was obviously becoming a social media, quote unquote, superstar celebrity, and I'll let the therapist diagnose her. But I come from a family of a father who's a psychiatrist and mother who's a social worker. And I said this last time I was on your show. I mean, my diagnosis is psycho. I mean, she's just crazy. When you watch all these different videos, almost in every one, and I can't recall a single one where Christian Obumseli is actually hitting her. He's always in a defensive posture, trying to calm her down, trying to quell her anger. But, you know, she's very antagonistic. You see here, just constantly pushing and shoving him. And look, I don't know what went on in their private life, but whatever it was between those periods of time, when you showed that photo from 2016 to 2022, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Courtney deteriorated. For exactly what reason is still unclear.
All right, Dr. Janie Lacey, they've got lots of money. She's got access to cash. She's got access to drugs. There's open discussions about doing drugs, battling sobriety. You've got her, you know, making money, making OnlyFans videos. And for those of you who haven't been on it, good. You don't need to necessarily go on it, but it kind of looks like this without the clothes. What are your thoughts? What went wrong here, Dr. Janie Lacey?
Well, Vinnie, when we think about her public persona, right, that we're watching, that she had to appear and project success and influence, when we also see the contrast, right? They had so many private struggles in her life, and to maintain and the pressure to curate these online images, we also can hear that there's a lot of challenges with substance use concerns, right? We know that even in the video that you just played, there's this history of substance use. She's talking about her sobriety and including her alleged cocaine issue. And we know when there's substance use, that can significantly impact impulse and control, the emotional regulation. We saw her completely out of control in this video. But when we're looking at that relationship from her substance use, where it's going to conflict with her creating and what we're seeing, this heightened sense of violence. So when we're looking at their relationship pattern, and it's all documented as we are seeing today, right? There's this violence pattern, and then there's multiple documentations that indicate there's physical altercations between the two of them. And we know the basic of a toxic relationship, that breakup and that makeup, that breakup and that makeup, and those escalating patterns of that conflict, which ultimately led to the fatal incident, which was key because it was escalation, as we can see that's documented in the videos.
I want to play one more of the videos. This is from some body cam because police were called. This is before she stabs him. I think it's the day before, talking about the living arrangements and whose apartment it is and who's in charge when it comes to the wallet.
He has belongings in there. He has belongings in there with you, right? He has property?
Okay.
So he has property in your apartment?
In my apartment, yes. That I pay $10,000 a month for. He does pay zero for. Yes. So I will have. I really like. I will happily. I don't care what happens. I just don't. I don't want to ever.
Courtney, let me ask you this. For how
So she's paying $10,000 a month for the apartment. He's paying nothing. Joel, what we're seeing in the world right now, right, is, especially the world of social media, influencers and, YouTubers, these young adults, some of them not even adults, I mean, they are making millions of dollars at such a young age and having access to everything that brings you. It's not easy for anyone to handle that much cash that quickly, but that's a big part of her life. They moved from Texas to this part of Miami, which is extremely exclusive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're sort of rubbing it in a little bit, Vinny, because I've got 3 little kids. My youngest, he watches a guy named Ben A on YouTube, who's I read is earning about $24 to $30 million a year just making dumb kid videos. So it is a different world, Vinny, than when you and I and the therapist grew up. Completely different. I happen to know people because I'm living in Miami, about 2 miles from where that apartment building is, but I know 2 people who are living there at the same time. And listen, everyone in that building, according to these friends of mine, knew who they were. They were constantly fighting, constantly arguing. The police were constantly coming by. She was reportedly making upwards of $2 million a year. He was a quote-unquote crypto trader, which is a common phrase here in Miami, but by all accounts was not making a lot of money. She was the breadwinner. And I guess the pressure started to get to her, and she just became more and more unhinged.
All right. My guests are staying with us. When we come back, why did Christian stay?
Love that girl. Like, I know it sounds different, looks different to y'all, but like, been through that girl. Like, so, I love it.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
I never realized myself, but I know that she said you want to go downstairs. I'll go downstairs, man. I don't want to work. I think all, just like heat of the moment,
I understand. People get upset. It doesn't happen often.
I love that girl. Like, I know it sounds different, looks different to y'all, but like, been through with that girl. Like, so like, her love is deep.
Incredibly sad and tragic when you think about that moment right there. There's Christian Obumseli talking to police about Courtney throwing a bottle at his head, and in like his next breath, he's talking about how he loves her. how he loves her. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen a situation like this. What makes this different is generally we don't see men as the victims of domestic violence. Historically, we don't. Now we do, but it's still, he's a big, strong man, but he's the victim. She's throwing a bottle at him. Take a listen to this. This is an exchange of text messages that we had our producers read between Christian Obumseli and Courtney Clenney. He's in the hospital because of her at the moment that this text is going back and forth, and she's out on the town. Take a listen.
Hopefully, this will give you time to think about your actions. Enjoy the hospital. Tell them your side, then I'll tell them what happened.
I'm not saying anything.
LMAO. You should.
I'm going now. I'ma say football incident.
And then leave me the alone. Okay? Have fun?
Baby, can you come with me? I lost a lot of blood.
Let me know how it goes. See you later.
Yeah, I got you.
You keep up. How does it feel?
I need you. I don't feel good, Court. Can you come?
Same. Oh well.
Courtney, I don't feel good. Come, I'm scared.
Nah, you're not. Why'd you do it? Have a good night.
From getting stabbed multiple times to forgiving and being forgived, marriage talks, kids talks, vulnerable to you. This is what I deserve? Babe, I was in the hospital and you went to Midtown and slept somewhere for the night. Why, Courtney, why?
Unbelievable, right? He's in the hospital. She's out on the town with somebody else. And then that text exchange. That brings me to our next question of our investigation. Why did Christian stay? I mean, from everything we're seeing here, and obviously the defense has their own side, but he's in a toxic relationship at a minimum. He's the one that ends up getting stabbed in the leg, hit in the head with a bottle. He's the one that seems to be getting the brunt of all of this. My guest still with us, psychotherapist Dr. Janie Lacey and podcast host Joel Waldman, Surviving the Survivor. Dr. Janie Lacey, is this classic domestic violence, and is this something that should not be expected, that the one who's getting abused stays?
Well, Vinnie, leaving in these toxic relationships is not that easy. It's not that simple, I should say. You know, there's a term that we use and we call it trauma bonding. And when we think about it, sometimes these things happen way before any violence, physical violence shows up in the relationship, where there's these emotional attachments that the couple can form with each other because they have these cycles of abuse and reconciliation. And then what that happens biologically, right, the dopamine system, there's these periods of high, what we would look at these extreme highs, or sometimes we hear in society that called love bombing, the loving behavior, which is also followed by these extreme lows, which can include the violent behavior, right? So it's this come here, go away. And it creates this toxic attachment that they have in this relationship. But what happens in this intermittent reinforcement is it strengthens the emotional attachment. So it's not that easy to leave. And then when we see those psychological barriers for people leaving, which they know is maybe not the healthiest relationship for them, is hope, right? They hope that based off of their relationship, there's periods where the relationship actually is good, or there are periods of improvement. So they hang on to these moments of time, just wishing for those moments to come back. And then we also look at they have an emotional investment in the relationship. And especially when it comes to men that potentially are the victims of domestic violence, is they can minimize some of the risk that happens because they're supposed to be strong, or, you know, they're the man in the relationship. And then the abuse that can happen by their female counterpart is usually gradual over time. So it's not that easy to just leave when you know it's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and based upon the information that we received, Joel, I mean, this was not the first time that he was stabbed. That he was stabbed in the thigh once by her during another one of their fights that they had. The other part of the relationship, though, is that she's making all the money. So there's the money aspect, right? She's an OnlyFans model, but, you know, they engaged in some of this conduct together on camera as well, expressing their, I guess, feelings for each other. What do you think it was from the outside looking in that kept him hooked on Courtney?
You know, I think part of it was the fact that she's got this quote-unquote social media celebrity, which is very expensive currency in today's world with younger people. So I think he was attracted to that. I mean, you know, look, they're in their late 20s, so they're adults, but they're really kids. They haven't experienced life fully yet. And, you know, I'm sure he had fallen for her from a physical standpoint, didn't realize the extent of what was happening with all the violence. You know, I was in Orlando covering the Sarah Boone trial. That's a case where, you know, a boyfriend was zipped into a suitcase. So we do see cases, as you said, Vinny, of domestic violence cutting the other way. And we had just now Dr. Lenore Walker on our program. She literally wrote the book Battered Woman Syndrome, but you could put Battered Boyfriend Syndrome or substitute any other word. Looks like Courtney Clenney was taking all her aggression out on this guy. Again, all these videos, he seems to be trying to quell the violence and just can't seem to get a hold of her to calm her down enough.
Yeah, and Dr. Janie Lacey, I mean, there were some serious physical injuries. I mean, he was stabbed once before, knocked in the head with a phone. We heard it another one. We heard about the bottles being thrown. Extremely dangerous stuff. And on the other hand, a lot of it seems to be fueled by the jealousy that she has in this relationship.
You know, when you look at these relationships, when there's substance use going on, and then they're actually working together, and as we've also heard, their lives are intertwined financially, he's relying on her, and then these situations happen. When we see the person who's being abused in the relationship, they can make, in their mind, make sense as to why that person is doing those things to them, which minimizes the depths of the risk that we're seeing that has happened in their relationship. So, and then we heard the video that you played earlier that he was talking about how he deeply loved her. Then overlooking a lot of these dangerous situations because of him believing that he loved her and probably thought he understood where she was coming from and allowing and accommodating some of this bad behavior.
We are out of time. Big thank you. Dr. Janie Lacey and Joel Waldman, Surviving the Survivor. Thank you both. Relationships are often complicated. What the outside world sees is many times different in private. So even though Courtney and Christian were living very public lives, their darkest secrets were shielded from fans. But now it will be up to a complete set of strangers to figure out their private lives in a very public trial. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.